All right, sorry, where are we?
Antennas.
We're gonna be talking about.
I'm gonna start it real quick, but actually Chucky came, or Lieutenant Brogan came to me, about a month and a half ago. We had an issue with our tower going down. What did that mean to me? I had no clue. He got with Motorola, the major and them, and that's what you have in front of you is basically shows, which has surprised me, with all our towers up and working, we have pretty good coverage. 97% coverage is pretty amazing considering our geographical area. And I've been riding Chucky pretty hard over 9 months saying, hey, we need better radios. And Chucky was like, nah, Sheriff, we're actually better than we've ever been. Seeing this, this isn't ours. This is Motorola telling us what we have. So it's actually pretty good. If you look at like a Verizon map and you see the red dots that where you have coverage, all that purple, we have coverage. If you go to the portable on the hip, that's the next page. That's what we have coverage on with our portable radios and all the towers working. So even that, it's a little concerning because there's areas there's dead spots, but you know what, you can go up in the middle of the city and have dead spots.
So the white are the dead spots?
Yes, ma'am. As we come over here and you look, as you see the certain towers are down, our mobility or our coverage gets shorter. So that's with one of the towers, Bentonville site disabled. That's a large area, and that's really concerning if you think about it. We have a fire and rescue out, and with what we're dealing with in today's society, it puts not only our fire and rescue in danger, but it puts our deputies in danger, and then vice versa. So it's very, very scary. We started looking at how outdated, and Chucky will get into Lieutenant Brogan will continue with the numbers. He's really worked very, very hard at this. A lot of hours putting a good presentation together. As we flip over, portable on the hip with the Bentonville site down, that's just our handheld. So we get out of the car, we're talking, we're at a traffic stop, we're not getting any calls back from dispatch to tell us that an individual may be wanted, may be armed, or so forth. Or if we get into a use of force, we're not getting coverage. It's not getting back a speed up backup.
So the Bentonville one being down wraps all the way over to, and affects Browntown as well? Even though is that red area supposed to designate a tower?
The red area, yeah,
Or is that
the circle with the almost crosshairs. The black dots are your actual,
The actual tower?
the tower. In Browntown is what we call a receive site. It's just a receive site.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, why it was still red. When it started out, that was red in Bentonville, and then it turned black. So it's just a receiver, I got you.
So what you have is you have your vehicle radios, and then you have your portable, obviously. The one Bentonville tower, and Lieutenant Brogan explained a little better, and that's why we have Chief and Jerry here as well. We start getting to really concern if both of the towers would go down, and you go to the Bentonville site disabled portable on the hip. And this is this page right here. Could you imagine if we have one of these towers fail, one more that we already have, we're going to be, that's roughly 60%, or 60% coverage in the county. We're looking at 40% of the county not covered.
How frequently do these things go down?
So let me point out two things
I'm
real
gonna put
quick.
it all to Chuck.
Because I want to know about the.
Yeah, so let me point out one thing real quick. On page, it's marked fire and rescue portable or radio portable without Bentonville.
Okay, the fire and rescue radio portable without,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Okay.
So these maps are projected with an APX portable, which is what is being made now. You're talking a brand new portable, wattage is great and everything else. Fire and rescue currently is using portables, some legacy from when we initiated this whole system upgrade in 2003, 2004. So the coverage that the HT 1250s are going to get, which Fire and Rescue has, is not going to be anything close to what this map shows.
And you've been having trouble with that now for, I mean, recently I've been told you've been having some major issues.
Right now, I think the Bentonville site is down.
The
right
Bentonville
now.
site is
Have no
completely
water
down.
Coverage down there at all. Can I have 2 minutes?
Sure.
2 minutes. Let me go back and explain to you why this affects fire, rescue, and the sheriff's office. 15 years ago, we decided we were going to go from a low-band, non-repeated radio system, which is line of sight,
Right.
okay, to a repeated system. And we brought a consultant in who looked, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit. We decided that there's 2 repeater sites. There's one in Linden on the top of Blue Mountain, and there's another one in Bentonville. They're on, well, we pay for the tower in Linden. The one in Bentonville is a railroad tower that we have got free. It's a free site. So that's all we started with, okay? And we built the system, or designed, I shouldn't say we built it. We designed the system back then with room for the sheriff's office to come over on, okay? And they did. The last couple of years, maybe when did y'all?
We actually went live July 2019.
Okay, so that's why it affects both. You lose a tower site in Bentonville. Not only do we lose it, they lose it. Okay, even though they have their own equipment in with their own frequencies and so forth, they lose it as well. So I just want to bring y'all quickly up to date to where we started, and now that's why it affects both of us realistically the same.
And the added scary thing is there's no cell service in most of this area as
No.
well. So you're
these
on
others-
dead silence.
These other sites, like in Browntown, Massanutten, and Guard Hill, they're all transmit sites like Chucky said,
No, Gar-
receive sites.
right.
Yeah.
Except Massanutten. Massanutten, because we came on board, we made it a transmit receive.
Right.
Yeah.
And boy, if we had those as repeater sites, we'd be in good shape countywide. But we probably need at least 4 repeaters throughout to get over the terrain and so forth, and we're doing it with 2. So, and that brings them up there. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
so-
went over 2 minutes.
Sorry. So the answer to your question is, the equipment that we're talking about today is original. It's never been
So
replaced.
you're working with the legacy system,
Yes.
and you've made it somehow work with an upgraded antenna system?
No, that part was not upgraded when the sheriff's office came on board.
Okay.
The equipment that failed is, well, 03 or 04, whenever it was put into place.
Okay, but what failed?
The actual antenna itself that's on top of the tower.
Okay,
Did it hit
there's
by
not
lightning?
a piece of transmit or receive equipment on some other level that is too old, or the antenna itself has just failed?
The antenna and the cabling has failed. We don't know if it was a lightning strike. They don't know.
Well, then what's the problem? If it's failed and we need coverage, why are we here?
Because it takes $93,000.
There you go, Walt.
Well, I mean, I get that, but you gotta have a system that works. And now, instead of going through and saying, what can we do to fix our antiquated system? How much is it gonna cost to put in a system that's gonna work for another 10 or 12 years?
That's why he's here.
You want me to do that? I'm not gonna be here much longer. We want an immediate fix is
We got enough
$100,000.
EMS for the heart attack.
Okay,
Yeah.
now what's the long-term fix?
The long-term fix is, and I will assure you, and they'll tell you, they'll back me up on this, that we're using portable radios or the transcribers, that includes all the radios, that had a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. we're getting 15 and 16
Since you've been using
out
them
of it.
since 2002, yeah, I can do the math.
Right.
Maybe spit the
So,
number out.
all right, it's gonna be, I guarantee it'd be close to $1 million, even though we haven't priced it out.
Chief.
Yeah, he has.
Yes.
It's gonna, if you're talking subscriber radios as well, so everything for the fire and rescue equipment, plus the portables, plus the other stuff that would have to be upgraded to match that, I'm gonna guess somewhere around 2.5 million.
So is there a grant? for
I was
this
gonna
stuff?
say, y'all better be getting your pins out.
Well, if I can, I'll what we have right now is a needs and a want.
Right. So what do
Okay.
we need?
The need,
93 is what
The
we
need is, the
Right.
need is
Yes.
93.
Then
we
yes,
need,
yeah.
we need the towers now. We have to have the towers now.
Absolutely.
We will start, we know we want to do, what we have to do in the future before it becomes a need is to start
Start writing
preparing, writing grant, and you know I like writing
I know
grants.
you're a grant writing fool.
Well, not me, but I got somebody that is.
Yeah.
But what we have to do is we have to start looking at a special project.
Thank you.
Where can we start? Fire and rescue, sheriff's office, the county, putting money into a special project to actually address this future infrastructure failure. And that's what we're going to have. But as of right now, we need, and I told y'all from the very beginning, I'm never coming to you unless I need something. This is a
Yeah, no,
mandatory.
you're fibbing.
Don't you sit there and agree.
Sheriff.
I can join it up.
Sheriff, put your mask on.
I'm good. And seriously, I mean, I really haven't. But when you sit there and you have fire and rescue not being able to communicate with sheriff's office not, and we're just down like this, it's
How long has it been down?
It's,
August 25th.
yeah,
It's August 20th?
August 25th.
August 25th, you've had a system that hasn't been working for 3
In that large
Can I jump
section.
in here?
Yes, you may.
Because I don't know if I have a dog in the fight, but I'm gonna give you my
That's all right,
opinion.
maybe the
Bounce all
the-
over your mark.
Auto accident, we had an auto accident, Saturday on 522 Remount Road, probably between Lakefront Royal and Town. Sheriff's Department was on the scene, we were on the scene, our portables were absolutely useless. We could not talk, the Sheriff's Department could not talk. And, because the deputy was on the scene, you know, they actually had a shooting in town, and the deputy heard it on on our radio through the truck, and he says, "What do they have?" I'm like, so there is a real serious need to fix this, because it really is, because something like that should not be, overlooked.
We have historically always had blind spots in our fire and rescue radio system.
Well, I think that.
Even when this was a brand new, when you got a rock face,
Yeah.
340, 522, just based off of
Well, there are dead spots on 66, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, in
But-
Northern Virginia.
But I think what the sheriff has alluded to is that the immediate fix is here at 93,000, but it's time to really open that discussion
Up to a bigger.
to upgrade the entire fire and rescue sheriff's office.
Well, Fire Marshal, if I
system.
could, I may be stabbing myself in the foot here, but,
You are.
If you gotta say that, then yep.
well, here's the thing. You can get this thing fixed for 41,000.
No.
All right, but the problem with that is the stuff that you don't fix that runs in parallel with it.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's outdated by the time you get to the new stuff.
Well, it's outdated now.
So it's not gonna interface with
It's
it
a
at all?
Band-Aid or a temporary.
okay.
It will, but
What can you do today to fix those 3 antennas that's gonna keep you going for 15 years?
$93,000.
no.
No, I mean, that's not what I
Not for
heard.
15 years.
No, it'll fix the.
No.
I think it'll fix the immediate problem, I understand, but I don't wanna climb that tower again at $61,000.
Right. So you can't. In order, so ideally, fire and rescue would move to a P25 system, which we'd have to look at the things. I mean, they're going to be mandated by FCC to do it probably within the next 10 years anyway. But you're talking a year and a half of planning, to look at the upgrading, to finding the funding. It took us 2.5 years just to look at the system that we're on now before we even ever started breaking ground to get it implemented, to get things going. So to answer your question, sir, there's nothing we can do today to last us 15 years. It's not possible.
Okay, then
And so we've got to
We
fix
need
the
to fix
antenna.
But we have to have $93,000 would be the smart way to do it, to replace what's broke and its sister parts on the other two towers that are in the same,
That makes sure that it's continuous.
until we get to that 15-year plan to take us forward.
Okay, how long will it take to get the parts and have everything set up to fix this thing?
I would like to tell you that we could have the parts in 2 weeks. The downside of this, I would have to check with Motorola. They had one spare sitting in the shop 3 weeks ago. I don't know if it's been used or not, but if they only have to order one, you're looking at a 2-week turnaround. Then they would have to contract with Shenandoah Tower to actually climb the towers themselves. So I would say less than 3 months,
So
we're
that's
gonna
3
have
more
another
months of
system
no
down for
radio?
3 more months.
probably.
Let me throw this at you, and it might help you a little bit on the finances, is that
I don't have a problem with the finances.
Yeah, it's the time
It's
frame to
the
get it
time,
done.
and we don't want you guys out of
is
service
our,
that
once we get these towers fixed, our radio system will be adequate again for a short period of time until pieces start breaking.
Again,
Right.
Right.
And that's,
So,
yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at
That's,
as well.
that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Right.
So, all right, I can give you that estimate. To get fire and rescue system without upgrading and basically just replacing a part, not making it any better, keeping it status quo as to what they have now, a project which would be the Quantars is what they're called, the repeaters on the towers, you're looking at $155,000 for that, and they come end of life December 31st. Which means we're not gonna be able to get parts for them, they're probably not gonna be serviceable. So if it goes down, it's gonna be no choice, you're gonna have to pay for a new one to go up anyway. We have some preliminary paperwork for a group project of other things that need to be done also.
Oh, what type, you said growth
A
project?
group project, a multi-system project, and I just had some rough numbers thrown in on that.
I still, I mean, that's say that name again.
A multi-radio system project.
Group project,
Yes.
okay.
Because there's
I'm
other
sorry.
things in the radio system that need to be upgraded as well.
If I may, right now, we know we have a major hurdle coming, and we have a major project that we have to involve, and have to all come together and figure out how we're gonna do it. Right now, our biggest concern, we could come with the 40,000, but it doesn't make sense to climb one tower, then when the next one breaks down, call in the Shenandoah Tower Company again, to pay them again to climb the towers, when we can get it for almost 30,000 cheaper, less expensive by doing all three at one time, if you really look at it instead of doing each one individually.
Can we do this by consensus today, or, and then they can move forward so they don't lose 2 more weeks before our next voting meeting?
We can move forward,
Okay,
but you cannot do it by consensus until you have your meeting.
okay.
Right.
But we can move forward with it if we need to do the 93,000, and we need to move forward with that. And we can look at these other things. They're much longer term, and we don't have all the pieces. We were trying to get those pieces, and we don't have them yet. And we felt we needed to get this in here and get this going.
That's a no-brainer.
This will come from, this will come
I
from
wish
your
we had done
CARES
that.
Act reimbursement money.
Okay,
You know, which your public safety money that you move over here. It's gonna be the top thing on that list when Mr. Farrell brings in this list of saying we're gonna do 1, 2, this is number 1, and the courthouse is number 2.
so we can vote to just allocate the funds.
So you
Right.
can tell us you're going to do that and we'll get it
Okay.
started.
Can you do that with FEMA funds?
I don't think you're gonna get FEMA funds, no.
And then you take the chance of not getting it at only 75%.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at both sides, like I'm cheap, just like sheriff over there. But, I mean, if I can get it cheaper, I would love to. So I would suggest that we go looking for grants if they're there.
Well, what we're planning on is trust, every time Lieutenant Brogan walks in my office, I get about 5 more gray hairs. But, because everything's got an astronomical dollar sign tied to him, because it comes from his office. But,
As do I on a gray hair when you come in mine.
As do I. and I could-
right? But,
You guys need to know my colors. I was gonna say.
what,
I can
The
book you
bottles
up.
on.
you know, let's look at let's really look at the work
I like that.
that Lieutenant Brogan and Ashley have done over the past 9 months with redeveloping our comm center. We're writing grants. We're going to. We are gonna turn over every stone we can to find a grant to pay for this project in the future. But we're not there yet.
You can't, the grant's not gonna reimburse
No.
us, so we have to go
No.
ahead and get started. We can't have this thing.
This you
down.
need to do.
Yeah, this is a must do.
93,000 you gotta do, then I think that if it's the pleasure of the board and Mr. Daly, the sheriff, the chief, I would say they even start the process of a work group, Chucky, and start presenting information, compiling information, and that way, when a grant launches, we know what we need. But
For
I
the
think,
$2 million part of this.
but I think the other aspect too is I think we're to the point now where we kick the can down the road waiting for that grant, is we can't put our eggs in the grant basket and wait.
Right.
So
No.
if it
I
comes
agree.
along and we have the opportunity, absolutely, we'll apply. You know, the safer grant that we got, the air packs, may include radio upgrades. We don't know until they release the grant. We would certainly can use that, and if we get it, it's great, but I think long-term process, you've heard here today, that can's been kicked, and we need to start that conversation and process. You know, I think that, you know, the result is, and I appreciate it, that we need to get it fixed to protect our emergency responders, both
Absolutely.
law enforcement, fire, and rescue, and start that process as far as meeting, and that way we can have I would suggest a committee for law enforcement, fire, rescue, elected officials, and we, you know, let Chucky spearhead it, and that way he's the bad guy.
Well, you know, it is not for you.
Right.
It's for
us.
citizens out in the county.
That too.
Absolutely.
And just to give you an example, Fauquier County, Culpeper County, and Rappahannock just went through this, and how many years has it take to put it in service?
5 years.
5 years. We started 5 years ago with the new radio system, and they just have been installed. And
Your challenge now, sir, is.
right,
you.
so you
You got a big 5
don't wait.
years.
That's right.
Oh, he's not going anywhere for 11.
The reason they had 5 years is because they started out thinking they were gonna get grants and looking at grants and it.
Well, I don't
What
want
was
to
the
think
total
that we're
cost?
gonna get grants.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but it
Almost
was,
$2 million.
it was almost 3 million.
It's almost $3 million.
We better start putting nickels and dimes in a jar.
So we have a
Exactly.
consensus on the
Ain't that good a system?
Yeah.
Yes, you got it.
Hairs together, buddy.
We're good to go.
Motorola.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.